Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Kat, and today we are going to continue my illuminating discussion with Ms. Zana Goic Petricevic on her soul framework in leveling up yours and your team's potential. Hope you enjoy.
What if they
So
just say, I'm just here to make the money?
I would bring them back to self. And I would explore what is the money a metaphor for.
Mm,
When you say I'm
safety,
just exact,
like
well,
stability, of course.
maybe, yeah,
Mm,
safety,
mm,
stability,
mm,
I don't know, independence, freedom,
mm.
whatever.
Yes.
We would need to explore that.
Mm,
Money is not a value. It's not your value as a human value. But
right.
what money means to you is your
Is the
value.
value. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so insightful because that's probably like if I were, and I've never really asked people this because I'm, what makes your heart sing? You know? Why are you doing this job? I would be inclined to say that if you ask a lot of people this, well, they'll be like, well, of course I need to make money, and being in this job is allows me to use my skills to trade my time for money.
Yeah. So there is a part of obviously of the existential safety, right?
Mm,
And our work is obviously linked to that. Our work provides certain existential safety. But the issue is obviously when we take it to extreme, if my work is only providing me existential safety,
mm,
what what happens with my spirit? What happens with my soul? It starts dying slowly,
yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah. That's and so I would love to share a little bit of an anecdote with one of my husband's companies is that he operates a virtual assistance
Mm-hmm.
firm where, and virtual assistants, I mean, they come from various different countries. They're always remote, um, and they're always operating. I mean, at least his clients are mostly in North America and Europe, and so they're always remote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And generally, if you're a VA, your people don't necessarily, like your company doesn't necessarily develop you as an individual. You're just a set of hands. Like like it's literally a disembodied set of hands from some other country that is parachuted in to do a task, and it's very transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so there's no like it's very, very one dimensional. But
Mm-hmm.
what he's doing is he's actually building them up as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
They are a part of this organization, and for that reason, um, people like he's got a lot of um, so I guess the turnover in virtual assistants is very high in that
Mm-hmm.
industry, but for his organization, people stick with him for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they're not just doing it like it's beyond just trading time for money,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So there's something much more meaningful there, right?
Yes,
Than just trading time for money. So,
that's right.
um, I also speak about the passionpreneurs, right? But not, I feel, how to put this? Sometimes I feel,
Passionpreneurs.
yeah. So people who are actually following their passion and they've transformed that into the work that gives them existential safety. Now, I know that we don't all have the same path, right? And you'll have a
Mm,
lot of organizational leaders who will say, yeah, right, but working in an organization, you have to follow certain rules.
mm,
It's not, and then you hear a lot of people, and especially in our industry, in coaching industry, being very celebrating a lot by saying, "Oh, I'm leaving the organization today. I'm on my own," as if they are coming out of a prison. So it's not about blaming it on any system in that
mm,
sense. It's about going back to yourself, because I can find my passion following my hobby. I can find my passion working for a big organization. I can find my passion being a one-man band in a small company. It's
mm,
not about the system. I need to find it within me. And then obviously I will understand whether that system can or cannot support what I really want to create. So hopefully I will put in my boldness and courage to
mm,
follow the path where I will be able to create outcomes that matter out of my passion. But
That's
to just
interesting. Go ahead.
yeah, but to just say, oh, that's not possible for me. It's not possible for me to live. Is it for me? That's a little bit of a victimhood. It's like I would
Ah,
love to, but
but
hey, it's not up to me, right? And knowing that we have different conditions in life and that we have different starting points, we also have a choice. We may not always like it. It may not always be easy or equally easy for all of us, but we do have a choice.
absolutely. Absolutely. And how many of us are just like, I have a passion, and passions are different from hobbies,
Oh, yeah.
right? So they're not one and the same because the misconception is that, I love woodworking. I don't love woodworking, but if I loved woodworking, oh, that's my passion. Oh, but I can't make money on it, and therefore I have to stay in this other job that I do not enjoy because, you know, but what you're saying is that a passion, like can you define passion versus perhaps a hobby? Because I feel like that's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really
So for
misconceived.
me, so for me, passion is something that I cannot not do. It's
Not
almost like not
not
do.
do.
I
I
have to
must
do
do.
it.
Right.
I
Okay.
must do it,
Okay.
right? It's just it's my hunger. So I am passionate about deep conversations. I
Hmm.
built my business around having deep conversations. My
That's
my
interesting how your
my
passion
hobby,
is.
yeah,
Okay, yes.
my hobby is walking, jogging, right? But if you tell me, well, what will you give up, jogging or having deep conversations? Like the answer is really clear for me. I still love my hobby. This is something I cannot do without. I love deep conversations. Why? Because I feel I'm growing and I'm witnessing someone else grow. We are co-growing while we are co-creating this conversation.
That's
And
right.
that's amazing.
100%. So would you say that if somebody is, because I feel like passion, the self,
Mm,
the ego, if you will, is very protective. So even when somebody is trying to figure out what their passion is, the ego is going to, it's very elusive.
mm,
You know what I mean? It's hard for people, somebody, at least from my perspective, to say very safely, this is what my passion is, because what's going through my head right now is that, what if I'm wrong? What if that's not my passion? What if I don't have passions? Like all of
mm,
these what ifs, and that's
mm.
really, me protecting myself against r mental risk. Like,
Yeah.
and that doesn't even exist, to be honest. But
Yeah.
how does one go about uncovering their passions?
Yeah. So first of all, you just reminded me of, I think it was one of the TEDx speech by Larry Smith. I think he's a professor at one of the Canadian universities. He did the research around passion. And I think one of the findings in that research was that normal people don't have passion, right? So it's like
What?
normal people in terms of reasonable people, right?
Uh-huh.
If you're reasonable, right, you just don't have passions because you cannot follow your passions. It will take you into whatever, into danger, right? You just cannot follow your passion. You can't. You know what you're passionate about, but you'll never be able to make a career out of it. You'll never be able to. So it's almost like it feels like a conversation between the head and the heart,
Yes.
right? So my heart knows what my heart loves, but my
Yeah.
head comes in saying, well,
Yes.
no, come on, get serious, right?
Exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
and so I love to think of passion as an antidote to fear, because we all have fears. That
Hmm.
might be the ego part that you mentioned, and we can look at
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
that way. I'm afraid of failure, or I'm
Hmm.
afraid of rejection,
Hmm.
or I'm simply a bit afraid of uncertainty, of vulnerability, of not
Hmm.
knowing things, of dealing with the unknown, of having people not
Yep.
liking me, and all these
Yes.
things,
Hmm.
right? But what's more important than that fear? Something that I'm passionate about, something that makes my blood going, something that makes me feel alive. And if I find that, if I can feel that, then I can face any fear. I can stand any discomfort because, yes, it is important, and it's less important than the sense of feeling alive.
And we've all had moments of where we feel alive at some point in time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and when I look at my own life, like one of the places where I feel alive is um having like public speaking, to be honest,
Yeah.
like
There
being,
you go.
sharing a speech. And now I will tell you that it's immensely uncomfortable
Mm, there you
to do
go.
so,
Yeah.
right? And for that reason, I don't actually do it very often.
Yeah. 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 And so here I would have a conversation with you around your passion. What are you really passionate about when it comes to public speaking? So it feels like we could distill a little bit, or
Okay.
just really find what's there that can over. No, I don't think the right wording is overcome the fear, because it's not about overcoming the fear. It's about making the fear secondary, right? And
Yes, I love that.
and sometimes it's really about allowing for the excitement and the
Mm,
fear to coexist. Because then, and this is what I speak about in my book, it's if you are afraid, if you feel that discomfort, it can be any kind of
mhm.
emotional discomfort or any psychological risk that you're feeling. If you feel that discomfort, it's just an indication that you're about to do something really important, that you're about to do something that you really care about.
I love how you just turned that around. I think that if you guys are listening to this, you need to take this mental note down that if you feel like you are fearful of doing what you are about to do, it's an indication that you're about to do something that you really care about.
Exactly. Exactly. Because imagine if you didn't care about it, would you be feeling that much
No,
of a fear? Right?
no,
No.
exactly that
You, you
100%.
you know, you might be afraid of something, but if you didn't care about that, it would not even be a topic for you. You would just be afraid of
Exactly.
it and you would try to avoid it, and that's it.
That's right.
But
That's right.
something is pulling you in
Mm,
that direction, and obviously there is a discomfort. So
yes.
what I say is um, uh, um, the bolder the vision, the bigger the discomfort. You cannot have a bold vision without a great discomfort.
What
If
does
you're
that feel
not
like that?
feeling, you know what does that feel? It's like I
Mm,
just had a keynote. I told you I was in Paris. I just had a
mm.
keynote in front of 65 people it's an in-house program for one of the
Hmm.
organizations.
Hmm.
And they're supposed to come up with a game-changing opportunity, right?
Mm.
And my question was, when you look at your game-changing opportunity, how uncomfortable do you feel? Because if you don't feel uncomfortable in terms of, oh, will I be able to do that? Is this a too crazy idea? Or will other people tell me I've gone completely mad? Do I have resources to do this? Oh my God, is this overly ambitious? Oh my God, I feel the fear of disappointment. If you don't feel that, you're probably not dreaming big enough.
Amazing. Amazing. I have a question though.
Mm,
How do you differentiate from the discomfort of not having, of, sorry, the discomfort that comes with a bold vision that you must do
mm.
versus just the plain old wrong direction?
If it's a bold vision, I also feel the excitement of going into that
Um,
direction, right? I also feel the excitement.
right.
You
Whereas the
know,
wrong direction feels,
exactly, exactly. So let me put that back to public speaking,
mm,
okay? Because I love keynotes,
mm,
and um, I love to imagine myself on stage. It gives me yeah, just a sense of excitement. And the excitement is about, oh my God, I could be speaking to so many people and touch so many lives there in the audience and give them such food for thought that they will be making different choices simply because of what they've heard. And yet, every time I have to go on stage, I'm kind of secretly hoping that the event gets cancelled.
That's
Do you know what I
exactly what
mean?
happens in my head.
Yeah, but that fear will never stop me to say yes to another keynote opportunity and go up there and spread my message. Will my hands shake and sweat? Yes, my legs as well. Will I feel like, oh my God, I hope I survive this, or where is the exit doors? But whatever, but I will do it because I feel so excited about something that's deeply meaningful for me, and that is being in deep conversation.
I love that. I love how you just so clearly differentiated about what you are going to feel and yet the need to do it
Yes,
anyway.
yes, yes. Based on your internal compass, based on your internal voice that says, come on, you know that's your work to do. It makes you feel alive. It makes you feel fulfilled. It
Amazing.
activates your soul. Yeah.
I always had this sort of message in my head, the way I make decisions is that you can kind of know what your passion is if you're willing to do it for free. Like if there's
Mm,
no sort of monetary um,
yeah,
remuneration associated with it. That
exactly.
is a really key indication of that's your passion and you're not doing it out of obligation or anything. It's just like what you truly would like to do.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like that classic question, like what would you do if you were not paid for it? What would you still
Yes,
be doing? Right?
exactly.
What would you still be doing even if you were not paid for it? But what I think the issue is that we tend to think in kind of either or terms. So it's like, oh, I would be doing that, but that's not something I can live off.
Mm,
So I can't
I'm
follow
not.
my passion, right? But the thing is that I invite you to think about what is it that you are doing today and which part of that you might be really passionate about. Which part of that really does make your heart sing? And how can you do more of that? How can you expand that? What are the perspectives that you have not explored so far? Or so it's not it's not either or. Leadership is not either or. It's yes and. Nothing in our life
Yes,
is
and
either or. Yeah.
I love that. Yes, and not either or. That in itself is brilliant because that in itself will create so much more opportunity for you instead of
Yeah.
being binary, one or the other.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you're
And it's
right.
just the
It's
same
never
thing with
binary.
it's never binary because it's like so imagine saying um either I'm passionate or I'm afraid. But that's not the truth. The truth is I am passionate
And
and
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. Exactly. And I feel uncomfortable every time I do that. If I redefine that for myself and say to myself, I feel uncomfortable because I do care so much about this, then it liberates me. It gives me the permission to feel uncomfortable, and at the same time, it doesn't stop me from proceeding on that path.
Love it. Oh my goodness. So much gold here. So much gold. Okay, so S, self. We've covered S. We've gone
Yes.
back to S, and very
Yes.
much a fundamental of all the other levels. O, relationships with other people. U, universe, system.
Yeah.
What is L?
Legacy.
Legacy.
So it's almost like if you've done those three, self, other, and universe,
Hmm.
legacy is something that almost comes up naturally, right? Um,
Why
in
is it?
legacy,
Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead. Please go.
No, I just want to say in legacy,
Mm,
we are then completely aware of what our meaningful work is, and also what is the invitation out there for us. I speak a little bit about game changers in legacy.
mhm,
So it's almost like we can say that we leave legacy. Whatever we do, we leave legacy, right? Even by raising your child, you will
mm,
leave a legacy. You will
mm,
impact your child. the legacy I'm speaking about here is more, are we conscious human beings on this planet in different systems in our society? Do we see the change that needs to happen, and are we ready to act on that? Are we ready to take risks, to risk our own comfort, to create the change that's needed? So it's a little bit about our agency, really bringing your agency out there. What's the change that you want to create? And that comes from from what gives you most meaning. Does it make sense?
Interesting. Because when I think about legacy, immediately I think about old rich people who, want to write a book or a memoir because they've done all this great work. And it's my immediate thought is that, oh, well, I wouldn't have any legacy in my life. I'm just little insignificant me. But I love how you said that everyone has legacy.
Yes.
Like everyone leaves something on this planet, like especially if you are, bringing up a child, and that child doesn't even have to be a human child. It could be a pet, or it could be a plant, or any sort of, right? Like you are leaving an impact on
Yes.
somebody else, regardless of who that somebody else is.
Exactly. Exactly. If you play in all those three playgrounds, self, other, and universe, you will be responsible for that impact that you're bringing, and it will be an intentional impact that you're bringing. So you're not leaving a legacy by chance. You're being very intentional about the legacy that you're creating. You are consciously creating that legacy.
Okay. So why would we care about legacy? Like, and again, my thought is that when I hear the word legacy, I think of dead people. Or like, you're leaving something so that when you go away, it's still going to be there. It's still going to persist. But why is this important?
So if we go back to the almost kind of like, what's the task of leadership, right? The task of leadership is much more than managing the current crisis. The task of leadership is creating something new and better, right? If you and I now into this conversation, and if we've created something new and better than what people knew before we had this conversation, we've already created some legacy here.
Right.
So creating something new and better is our task as human beings here. And if we're intentional about that, then that's our legacy. That's the legacy we're going to create. If we're not intentional about that, then what are we doing here? We're just, again, coming back to that message, we're existing, we're here by chance, right? What's different? Because now imagine this question. What's different because you existed? Like, okay, let's fast forward. We've come to the end of our lives, and we go wherever we believe we go after that. And we're looking back at this planet, at this world where we lived. What's different because we lived?
I love that question. That is such an amazing question to ask. What is different because you existed? And that just like, it makes me emotional just to think about that, because it's like, wow, as insignificant as I may feel, am a part of this. Like I've been put on this planet for a reason. I've just never thought of it that way. And what is different because I came here as existence, or existed, as you say.
Yeah, and I want to link that, what you've just said, I want to link it back to what I told you at the beginning is my belief, that there is so much of untapped boldness potential in organizations. Why? Because there is so many people who believe, well, what can I do? I'm insignificant.
Yes.
Right? What can I do? And then there are these 3 stories. I mentioned them in my book, and it's almost like, oh, it doesn't concern me because that's not my thing. Like it's happening on the other side of the world, and it's like, it's not my thing, as if there are specific pains. All the pains are universal, right? So if it's happening on the other side of the world, it
Doesn't
can happen on my side of the world tomorrow, right? So I don't, it doesn't concern me. Then, well, if it does concern me, then, but I'm powerless. There's nothing I can do about that. Just notice another way to support our belief of being insignificant. I can't, anyhow, I can't do anything about that. And then the third level is, well, why would I? Now, wait a second, come on, be reasonable and clever. Why would I risk what I have for whatever, for saving the world or something like that? But that's the best way to give our power away, to just convince ourselves we are insignificant. There's nothing we can do. What a comfortable position of giving up your own ownership and accountability to bring change and to leave legacy.
I love that. Giving power away just by being the word has just slipped me. By being indifferent to anything that's it doesn't concern me. It's happening to somebody else. It's out of my scope.
Yes. Indifference is the exact right word here. Yes.
Amazing. Yes. How does somebody who is not a rich old person who's about to die leave a legacy?
Well, I would assume they've done something throughout their lives. They've been in relationship with someone. They've touched someone by what they shared with them, how they impacted them, by the conversations that they had, by what they did and by what they didn't do. They are leaving a legacy. We will all leave a legacy. It's only a question of doing that intentionally and consciously, or unconsciously.
Right.
I think there's so much more we can do if we are conscious about what we really want to create and what's our work. I keep coming back to this question because this is not about what's my task. It's not about what my job is. It's about what's mine to do.
What's mine to do? Oh my goodness. So many great questions that you've brought up, Zana, just like to remind us at various different points in our lives. Like, amazing. Thank you so much for all this.
I love questions. I'm a coach. Questions are my key tools to work with.
I love it. I love it. So so tell us about Bold Reinvented, your book.
Yeah. So we've actually been now through this kind of journey through the soul model. So Bold Reinvented actually speaks about how you reinvent yourself when you're going through this model, when you're going through this journey. And as you noticed also, we always keep coming back to the self.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter where you start. You're bound to visit them all, right?
Yes.
At a certain point. So there's also an idea. There was an idea in me to kind of redefine this word boldness and bold, because coming from a corporate environment, I think sometimes this is defined as something very aggressive, being attached to, being very maybe even autocratic. At moments, it's like we have to be bold, right? But boldness is different. Confronting yourself is really bold. And that can be really vulnerable, not aggressive or autocratic, right? Being in a deep conversation with others and seeing the brilliance in them, even when they trigger you, that's really bold. Sitting in the middle of a fire in a system and thinking, who else do I need to listen to, even though it doesn't feel comfortable? What's the conflict I need to step into? What's the confrontation I need to step into? That's bold. And thinking that confrontation will make us all richer, better, more resourceful, right? So seeing conflict as a signal of change and not as something where it's a no thing, you don't want to go there, but seeing it as a signal of change, that's bold. And also embracing and embodying this belief that none of us is insignificant. that
Mm.
we all have the power to change the world, are part of the world, right?
Yeah.
Not the world that makes you feel overwhelmed, right? But you're part of the world to bring agency to your little corner and make a difference. That's bold to think. So all of that leadership is bold because leadership is risky.
Yes. Yes. And throughout it all, like every single phrase that you had just mentioned there has to do with vulnerability.
Yes.
Like when you see conflict, there's vulnerability, or the change, an upcoming change, there's vulnerability. Seeing the brilliance in somebody else, there's vulnerability because that means that you need to remove your defenses and say,
Yes.
hey, look, and recognize the beauty in that person with whom you're,
Yes.
interacting.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So all of that for me is actually reinventing bold, redefining it, right? Going away from what traditionally we might have thought bold is and stepping into something completely different. Not knowing is bold. Showing up is bold. Leading is bold.
Right. Would you say following is bold too?
Uh, yes, it depends what you mean by following, because sometimes it takes boldness to take a step back
Mm,
and follow,
yeah.
right? Sometimes it takes boldness to say, you know what? My place now is not in front. I need to
Yes.
go at the back, right? I need to be that selfless leader, right? I don't know how this came up. I
I
just
don't know
lives in
how
the
that came up
yeah.
as well. That's really awesome, though.
Yes. So
It really
so
liked what you said.
so absolutely knowing when to, it's almost like, knowing when to speak and knowing when to shut up.
Yeah,
That's bold.
that is bold. And it's not, I love how it's like, because a lot of us are not necessarily always extroverted. And when you say
Yeah.
bold, I think of, oh, you must be extroverted and you must be assertive and you must be aggressive, as you had
Mhm.
mentioned, but that's not the case,
No, no,
you
that's why
know?
we're speaking about bold reinvented. We speak
Hmm.
about different aspects of bold. We're redefining though. It's not even right to say different aspects of bold. We're redefining bold. And
Yes.
my intention was to redefine boldness and to speak of it in terms of courage and conviction and
Hmm.
consciousness, right? Rather than in terms of being autocratic or aggressive or being the first one, winning, knowing the right answer. I mean,
Yep,
no, no,
that's
that
right.
that's that's not what I meant by bold or boldness.
And I love how you did that because that means it's so, like, you've just made it so universal that it's not just for leaders of an organization. It's not just for people who are just like startup entrepreneurs or anything, or like trying to start something new. It's for everyone,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. You can apply it to your work in organizations. You can
Hmm.
apply it to your life. You can apply it to any decisions that you need to make in your life.
And I dare say you
Right.
must apply it to your life,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
Amazing.
Because there's always this tension between what makes me feel safe
Yes.
and what makes me feel alive, right?
Yes.
And to walk on that edge, to kind of dance in that tension, it requires boldness because it
Yeah.
requires vulnerability and exposure.
And yes, and to be okay with the uncertainty
Oh yeah,
of, what it can bring, because it can bring things that may absolutely surprise you. And
yep.
had you not taken that whatever step, right? Like when I look back at my life, I can identify certain, I call them cornerstone events in my
Mm-hmm.
life that had I not made that decision or that
Mm,
choice in my
mm,
life,
mm.
my life would look very, very different.
Different. Yeah, yeah,
And everyone's got that, regardless of where you are, regardless of whether or not you're an entrepreneur or you're an intrapreneur or working for an organization, or if you hate your job, it doesn't
yeah,
matter where you are, if you're just
yeah,
graduating from school.
yep. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So where can people find you, Zana, online?
So they can find me on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my kind of favorite platform. You'll see me engaging a lot there and posting and kind of starting the conversation. So I invite you to join that conversation with me. You can find my book on Amazon.
Okay, perfect.
You can also find me on my official company website, Bold Leadership Culture.
Boldleadershipculture.com. Sorry,
Com,
.com.
com,
Okay.
yeah.
And we will
Yes.
definitely put in all of these links in the show notes and the YouTube description. Um, by the way, I forgot to ask you whether or not you're okay with going on YouTube.
Yes,
We
yes,
can
oh,
have that
absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Okay, good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so boldleadership.com. Jana's book, Bold Reinvented, is available on Amazon. We will definitely put the link in there as well. I have so, so, so enjoyed our
Thank
conversation
you.
today. I feel like we can we can
Talk for
talk
hours.
for hours and hours
Yeah.
about this. And you've given our audience so many really, really great questions to very easily just, when you have a chance, like when you have a break in your life or when your mind kind of calms down a little, start asking yourselves these questions. What's my passion? What am I willing to do? What makes me feel alive? What does my heart sing? Like all these questions. I feel like I need to, and I actually might do this. I'm actually going to do something on our site. I'm not quite sure where it's going to be. Definitely on our site or in LinkedIn somewhere, and definitely in collaboration with you,
Mhm.
Jana, is just this beautiful. Maybe it's a piece of art or
Mm.
something, or a piece of calligraphy or something like
Mm.
just having these questions available to you. I feel like
Beautiful.
that's something I'm going to explore. I'm so excited about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And also now you just reminded me to say, so my book is full of questions. So at the end of each kind of chapter, there's a set of questions because I love that moment of reflection and pause. I think it actually helps us get closer to ourselves, to our soul, right? And really understand what makes us feel alive. And I felt so alive in this conversation with you. I hope that you managed to notice the passion,
Yes,
my
I did.
passion
I
when I'm
so did.
in deep conversations. I really love it. I feel I understand my own book always in a slightly different way when I speak about it. There's an additional aspect of it, which just tells me that, my book has a life of its own. It's alive. And I just love to deepen the concept that I've brought into it.
I love it. Thank you so, so much for all of your golden, golden insight, Jana. I very much appreciated our conversation. And I look forward to having another conversation with you very, very soon. Any final words of wisdom, any insights, even though you've given so much insight already in this hour long, oh my goodness, chat. Any final words for our listeners?
I would go back to that. The bolder the vision, the bigger the discomfort. So, discomfort is our friend. It's just telling us what's really, really important for us and what really our path is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kath.